Well, good evening and thanks for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5. I'm Amanda Rowley. Mark and Whitney are off tonight. We begin with two major stories tonight. A man first reported missing in April, now believed to be murdered, but police still haven't recovered a body. And we're breaking down a timeline of events. But first, a hearing to possibly discuss possible locations for Bryan Kohberger's murder trial wrapped up within the last few hours. Currently set for Latah County, the defense is pushing for somewhere bigger like Canyon County or Ada County, where Boise is located. They're even considering Bannock County, the home of Pocatello, to get away from what the defense has described as a mob mentality in Moscow. KREM 2's Shannon Mowdy sat in on today's hearing and explains the data the defense points to in making its case. Shannon?
Well, the defense team has been collecting and analyzing data and news coverage since early 2023 and says it proves a fair and impartial jury cannot be found in Latah County. Bryan Kohberger's defense team first asked for a change of venue in January, but has been compiling data to back up that ask since early 2023. One of the major pieces of evidence they're using, a Latah County community survey.
100 jurors walked into this room during voir dire. 66% of them already think he's guilty before they've heard any evidence.
Dr. Brian Edelman was hired by Ann Taylor and her team to analyze whether a fair trial could be held in Latah County. The defense has claimed bias and strong emotion in the Moscow area have reached mob mentality, pointing to responses in the survey.
And a range of themes from people would basically kill him to they burn the courthouse down or assume that the jury failed.
The prosecution has argued the survey wasn't adequate or comprehensive enough, as it hasn't been reported how many people declined to take it. The defense pointed to strong media saturation in Latah County, which makes up less than 3% of the state's population. They're looking to move to Ada County, where about a quarter of Idaho's residents live.
If you have a certain number of stories divided by the population, the number of stories a person can see is fewer if the population is larger.
Social psychology expert Amani El Alili says people may have made strong prejudgments based on hearing snippets of stories.
From the media, people may take bits and pieces, and that starts to create a level of knowledge or human bias.
We might feel like we know about something more than we do, yeah.
She says research shows people will tend to double down on their beliefs even when confronted with contradictory evidence. She testified there's no way to undo this, except finding a new jury pool. Judge John Judge said he's got some work to do in making what he called the most difficult decision of his career, and he gave no estimate on when he'll issue a ruling on moving the trial. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
Thank you, Shannon. Now to a developing story. 3 people have been charged in connection with the disappearance of Robert Abbott. The Spokane County Sheriff's Office now believe he was murdered. 2 of the suspects, Terry Trower and her husband Richard, were arrested yesterday at Northern Quest Casino. Terry made a first appearance in court today for rendering criminal assistance and trafficking in stolen property in connection to this case. KREM 2's Christian Garza has been digging through different court documents today to give a better idea of a timeline for this whole situation.
I need answers. I need my husband. I need my friend.
What started as a welfare check has now turned into a homicide investigation. The investigation into what happened to Robert Abbott started after his wife, Star Abbott, reported him missing in April. According to court documents, officials determined that Abbott's car, a BMW, and tools from his workshop, including chainsaws, were stolen from the property on April 1st. While investigating, detectives found blood in Abbott's shop as well as 2 spent cartridges, one in and one out of the shop. Spokane County Sheriff's Office says detectives developed probable cause to arrest 3 people in connection to this case: Richard Trower, his wife Terry Trower, and Heather Lewis. A family friend of Robert Abbott says that Richard and Robert were living together but had a falling out. Court docs detail that in the next several days, Richard Trower was selling different items like a chainsaw and a stereo across the county. Court documents say that on April 5th, Abbott's stolen BMW was found in a mobile home park in Meade, and that Richard Trower had been seen driving it by witnesses. However, no one was inside of it at that time. On April 6th, Richard Trower, his wife Terry, and another man were pulled over in an unlicensed gray Suburban. Documents say officials took the car as evidence after finding blood, but they weren't able to connect the blood to Abbott at that time. On April 9th, officials were able to get a search warrant for the BMW. That's when investigators found several blood stains in the car and in the trunk. According to court docs, the amount of blood inside of the trunk suggested a large object consistent with the size of a human body has been stored there. According to court documents, Richard Trower and Lewis had several phone conversations between April 2nd and April 4th about what to do with these certain items. Richard Trower then told Lewis to delete the messages off of her phone. The Trowers have been under investigation since they were pulled over back on April 6th. According to court documents, on August 28th, Terry and Richard were arrested at Northern Quest Casino, and the third suspect, Heather Lewis, was also arrested in Cheney. All three have been booked into the Spokane County Jail. At this point in the investigation, Abbott's body has not been found.
That was Christian Garza reporting. We've covered both these stories for extended periods of time now. For a look back at our coverage, head to KREM 2+. It's free to download right now on Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV. Now, before we head into the weekend, let's get caught up on our forecast. Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo is joining us now in the Weather Center with a sunny outlook. It looks like Labor Day weekend even looking pretty toasty.
I know. I'm going to take one from Brandon T. Jones and say, good luck finding a cloud outside. Actually, he said, I can't find a cloud outside. And I really like that because I was outside earlier going, where are the clouds? They're just not here, and you're not going to see any for the next couple of days. We sit at 70 degrees right now here in town. Let's take a look around the region. Let's say you're heading out the door. How about that one? Sorry, 79 degrees, 78 in Deer Park, 76 over in Coeur d'Alene, and 80s out in central Washington. It is clear skies. It is warm out. Sorry. Overall, it looks like our temperatures stay nice and hot. Heat advisories remain in effect Saturday through Monday. It's those clear skies across much of the region, all thanks to a lack of anything going on in the atmosphere. Seriously, we have a giant ridge of high pressure building overhead. And what that means is that our temperatures are just going to keep climbing over the next couple of days. Tonight, we fall back down into the low 50s, I would say upper 40s. It's going to be cool. Tomorrow, we climb up to near 90. Saturday in the 90s. Sunday, mid 90s. But look at those overnight lows. Last time we were in the 90s, our lows would stay close to 70. This time they're going to be in the 50s. So each night we get a nice little break from the heat.
All right, I'll take those 90s, Jeremy. Thank you.